Welcome to Evergreen Speedway's Home Track Heroes on Seattle 11.
Well, you saw the title tile. It is the Big Ed Ritchie 60 minutes of figure 8 auto racing, 60 minutes of fear, part 1 tonight. Ben Iman here on Home Track Heroes on Seattle 11. Big thank you to All Play Roofing for making this possible. 2 nights coming up here of the 60 minutes of fear. This is night number 1. And Ben, this is going to be an interesting one. Tonight, Hornets and Outlaws on the program. We got a lot to get to.
We have a lot to get through. We're going to walk through Hornet heat races. Then they'll have a last chance qualifier before the Hornet Nationals event. 50 laps, $1,000 on the line. It is going to be quite a big. And then, of course, the Outlaws for an entire hour on the figure 8 oval. It's going to be a lot, Caleb.
It's an incredible dichotomy as we're going to have 4-cylinder cars running road courses, and then we're going to go to the big boys with the baddest toys, the figure 8s, the Outlaw figure 8s, where there's almost no rules. Here in the Hornets, not much you can do to them. Outlaws can do whatever you want. Should be a whole lot of fun. We are ready. We're going to get you some Hornet heat race action to start the night off, and this is Hornet heat race number 2, as it was. Xander Crowell, that's the 212 out of Edmonds. McCormick Medical Distribution sponsoring him. 46R, that's Calvin Delaverne out of Snohomish, sponsored by Rapid Welding and Rail. Second row is David Dixon of the 86 out of Stanwood. The Three Brothers Garage sponsor him. And to his outside, Tegan Bjornsson, the 59 out of Arlington, sponsored by Misfit Motorsports.
Randy Moffitt pilots the 102 out of Everett. The Salty Dog Pest Control Machine will start to one of the fast cars to watch for tonight. Gino Solomon in the 17S. He's out of North Bend and sponsored by Valley Asphalt. Bryson Wingfield is out of Monroe in the 65, sponsored by his Papa Tony Hill. Austin Kramer, normal mini stock driver, taking a Hornet out tonight in the 14K out of Snohomish. Northwest Security and Sound on him. And Brandy Jones in the 016 out of Granite Falls, sponsored by Full Throttle Graphics. Round out this field, we're away, and quickly to the jump, it's Bjornsson and Delaverne, and here comes Gino Solomon. Speak about fast car, watch fast car, it seems like. Quickly to the lead in 2 turns goes Grandpa Gino.
Throwing that car around. They are on Das Boot right now here for heat races, as it is Solomon out to the early lead. Yeah, you're right. All of those cars have been quick all year long. They come from that stable. Gino in the 17, Matt Snyder's 15, and of course Diesel Snyder's 717. We expect them to be up near the front of the pack all night long tonight, no matter what course they're going to end up on.
Yeah, and so they're running Das Boot here. They've been running all day on Das Boot, a little bit normal. Normally the Hornets practice qualify on the regular road course. Today they've been running the boot all day long, so they've had some time on this course, so we'll see if it holds. Gino Solomon, however, is holding a very strong lead right now over Tegan Bjornsson, who's been able to get up into second, and that appears to be, I believe, David Dixon, who's gotten up into third, Wingfield in fourth.
Now, that's different from our normal Hornet events where they practice, qualify, heat race all on the regular road course, and then we throw the curveball at them for main event time, correct?
That is correct. So different little bit for the driver's day, and a rare chance to practice on the boot,
which is going to pay off for a lot of them, as, seat time can be kind of limited. 30 laps is a main event. You can only learn so much today. They've had all day to work on her as we watch Bjornsson in the 59. Wingfield move up from the Youth Hornets of years past, and it's a different car for him he's running here in the Hornet division, but he's trying to do something with Tegan Bjornsson for second place.
Looks like we've got a car stalled on the access road. That's Austin Kramer, so his Hornet return, short-lived so far in the heat race, but he'll have a chance to get it back out for the last chance qualifier. Bryson Wingfield's been an interesting story to watch this year. Caleb has started and running full-time Hornets this year, graduated from the Youth Hornets, and he ran consistently, working his way up through the middle of the B main, towards the front of the B main, to qualifying for the A main, to competing in a lot of these races. So Bryson Wingfield quickly getting that wheel underneath him. That 65, definitely a car to watch for all of 2026 when we get there.
Learning curve is almost to the top of it at this point in time, is what you're saying.
I would say so.
All right.
He's still got some room to go because every driver can improve, but really solid job Bryson has done climbing the ranks this season.
Trying to get to the inside of Tegan Bjornsson as they hook their way onto what is the part before the boot. It's the boot top, it's the flat, I don't know, however you want to describe that.
I have never been to a boot builder, so I don't know boot parts.
Did you know they have an entire barn of them?
I did actually know that they had a whole barn of them, and hats.
That's what I'm told. That would be a great sponsor for Home Track Heroes if, they wanted to advertise a whole barn full of boots.
Boot barn, hit us up.
Just saying. Coming off, there is Wingfield making the strong move to the inside of that first turn on Bjornsson. And look out! Scott Dixon or David Dixon as it is, Got a whole lot of Bjornsson coming back at him.
And here comes Randy Moffitt. Great move. He's going to capitalize on the two cars coming together. Had to cross over between the two of them. Caleb makes the move stick. Solid two-car pass by Randy Moffitt. He's up into fourth.
Well done by the driver with the world's biggest head, Randy Moffitt, making his way past Bjornsson and Dixon all in one shot. Watch how he sets that thing up. These drivers, normally we see them on the boot. It's a little bit later on in the race evening. It's a little different running here during more daytime action where track might have a little heat in it and might actually have a little more sticky in it at the moment.
I was going to say, there's probably more rubber put down on this boot in that infield section the sweeping left-hander to come back around towards the weight transfer section. There's going to be little to no rubber up on the 3-8 oval right now where you can look at Gino Solomon coming off, turn 4 of the 3-8 oval, will get the white flag as he crosses the line. There's going to be a lot less rubber up there. No cars running up there today besides these Hornets, but how sticky that infield is going to get, Caleb, is definitely something I'm interested to see play out.
Well, we'll watch how it develops. We're going to have a whole day of it here on Home Track Heroes. As you can see, Dixon locking the brakes up, and he has got something rubbing within that stopping system as a little bit of smoke shows. Gino Solomon, dominant here in heat race number 1. He'll take the dub.
Yeah, good run here. I forgot to mention these heat races a little bit longer than typical heat races, 10 laps.
10 lappers indeed. So Solomon gets the win, long ways back. Wingfield will take second, and Moffitt a solid third. Well done by them. We should ask, while we have a couple of seconds, heat races today, what bearing do they have on the program, or are they just to fill some time and get some more practice laps in?
I believe they are helping positioning.
Okay, so lining up for A main events.
Yes, for the A main. So heat race 1 was 1, heat race 2 is 2,
okay.
Heat race 3 will be for third.
So your finishing spot makes a big difference coming up here in this A main event lineup. We'll keep monitoring that as we've got our next heat race ready to roll out on the racetrack here on Home Track Heroes for the Hornets. It's their Hornet National event, and here comes heat race number, it is 2 on our program, 3 overall on the day is heat race number 1. Well, we had to cut it for time purposes. That happens. So let's take a look. Bobby Houck is out in the front of this one. It's the 08 out of Snohomish, sponsored by Snow Valley Farms. To his outside, Lila Mashburn, the 31L out of Marysville, sponsored by General Car Wash. Row number 2 is Cameron Iverson, the 810. He is out of Buckley. And to his outside, the 101 of Brian McNamara out of Snohomish, sponsored by Trueline Wheel and Frame of Seattle.
Row 3 sees Trinity Reppin out of Snohomish, piloting the 45 and the Reppin Welding and Rail Machine, starting next to the 30 of Pat Folger, sponsored by Olympia Pizza. Brad Gruel's in the G2 today out of Gold Bar. The Estes Heating and Cooling Machine starts next to Stephen Dodson out of Arlington in the 25, sponsored by Sky Power Wash. Chris Ward in the 18 and Robert Smith in the 42 round us out. We are Green Flag Racing and heat race number 3. It's a great jump for Bobby Houck, but he's going to have to get early on the brakes. Mashburn trying to take it quickly to the outside, get aggressive using that second lane, but doesn't quite stick as she steps out a little bit further, going to fall back, and they're going to go 4 wide even potentially into the weight transfer section. Everyone stays alive so far. Houck, Iverson, Reppin running 1, 2, 3. Gruel and McNamara getting together here. So we're rolling through 3 and 4. Folger trying to get in the picture. But Caleb, we're going to settle in 9 more laps right now. Houck and Iverson getting some clean air and some clean running room.
Some really eventful lap number 1 there here for the Hornets in this heat race. Is like you said, 4 wide at times. Drivers who have busted some new cars out or picked up new cars towards the end of the year. Guys in new rides as well, and Bobby Houck, one of them, that's a brand new looking 08 car, at least to me.
Appears that to be, I believe that's Scarlett Fisher's 19 of prior that we have seen. Is little contact there with McNamara and Folgers. They're coming down the straightaway. I believe that appears to be Fisher's 19 that either Houck is racing today or maybe has acquired the car full time. We will have to see. Is Reppin.
Wow.
Oh, Gruel hangs on to it, Brad. Getting back on the racing line, Brad Gruel did a real solid job to hang on to that one.
That was a beautiful save by Gruel, as that thing was all kinds of sideways. Meanwhile, now McNamara, what's good for the goose is good for the gander. He'll end up on the inside guardrail and into the wall. McNamara in the 101 draws the caution flag.
We'll have to take a look at here. Brian McNamara ended up in that inside wall. Not a fun place to end up. So we're watching here. He was battling with Folger, Dodson. Looks like Dodson gives him a little bit of a bump here, and it looks like he just got up on that curbing. And when you got down there, that is a slick area of the racetrack. Talk about not a lot of rubber put down there, Caleb. And unfortunately for Brian McNamara, meets the wall.
Well, hopefully repairs will be able to be made to the 101 car. Again, these heat races are for lineup positions coming in the A main event. The A main event typically in our Hornets has a full invert on it. That will not be the case today. There is an invert, but it's not a full field invert once again.
Okay.
So, again, you want to excel. You want to do as best you can here in this and put yourself into the show, and then we'll find out what that invert becomes on the A main event a little bit later.
Yeah, we will have to get racked and stacked, then slowly pacing our way through the infield here. And Hauk and Gruel will have the front row, followed by Iverson and Reppin. Robert Smith has picked up about 3-4 spots and moved himself up into the middle of this pack. We'll see if that 42 can make his way forward any at all.
Sure looks like the 25 of Dodson may have been penalized for a bit of rough driving, as he is now at the back of the field. The 25, he'll have his way to make back forward. We've got 9 cars left, and we've got 7 laps to sort them all out. We're back to green.
Yeah, good start here, and everyone coming together and clean through the start-finish line. Now to the weight transfer. Gruel's taking it to Bobby Hauk, trying to muscle in that inside line. Now this is going to get hairy. Gruel's going to have to get early on the brakes. Looks like Hauk runs a little wide, but takes a defensive line there, but Gruel's just going to outgas him and get up on the outside and looks to clear. Brad Gruel might have the race lead when we come back to the line.
You know how fast that G2 car is, as he is a multiple-time feature winner here in the Hornet division over the course of 2025. Hauk battling back in the unfamiliar to him Scarlet Fisher car with the 08 on it, but that will be pretty firmly Brad Gruel now into the lead and Hauk put into the chase position.
Yeah, I got to applaud Bobby Hauk as we came through that little left-hander, though. Got aggressive, challenged Brad Gruel, but didn't overdrive it and didn't just clean out Brad in the immense to make the move. Good job by Bobby. Racing him hard, but racing him clean. That's something we really like to see. You see it a lot. Lots of close and, close racing in the Hornet division. Sometimes these drivers are not afraid to lean on each other, give each other some roughness, as is short track racing, some will say. And sometimes the line gets a little hairy sometimes, but oftentimes these drivers racing each other as hard as they can. And looks like Folger trying to stick the nose up make it this 3-wide battle with Reppin and Iverson as they're going to race down the front stretch. Cool, couldn't call it at the line.
He saw the fuzzy dice hanging off the back of the Trinity Reppin car and said, I'll try to roll snake eyes. What the heck happens here? Goes to the outside of her, coming into the corner. Door panel to door panel. Now can he outbrake her on this quick little left? Yes, he can. Give the spot to Folger as they work in the way to turn 3 on the 3/8.
Pat Folger picked up a podium in the last few Hornet races, and the 30 car always there or thereabouts when running in these A mains. Always running somewhere competitively. Always good to see Pat. Wow. As I'm saying that, wow, the announcer's curse works quick today as Pat Folger appears to have some issues and has to cede the spot. Not sure what happened with Pat there. We'll see if that draws any kind of caution, but we're 2 to go as Gruel has opened up a large gap to Bobby Hauk, and then it's a even big gap. And Pat's just checking out the fireworks show early, it looks like, and seeing if they've got some good supplies back there.
Making sure that the grass is manicured to proper levels. Don Fairley's been slacking here lately, watching the Dodgers lose playoff games. As they work their way through the corner, Gruel opening her up. We are coming to the white flag one more time around here in Hornet Heat Race, our second one of the afternoon here on Home Track Heroes, third one overall of the entirety of the racing program.
Settling in so far. Dodson starting to close up. Haven't seen a lot of Steven Dodson this season. Has been having mechanical issue after mechanical issue with that car, but happy to see Steven out here making a good run for Hornet Nationals. Well, off turn 4, Brad Gruel is going to come off the turn and see the checkered flag and captures a big heat race win and is going to position himself real well later on tonight for the main event. Looks like Hauk in second and Reppin will hang on to third over Dodson.
Well done, Trinity Reppin, to scramble to that finish. Gruel, Hauk, and Reppin, 1, 2, and 3. And there's the slow shot of Brad Gruel, the multiple-time feature winner, rolling down the back straightaway with Hauk catching up to him. Couple of heat races in the books. Lots more to come. Settle in. You're watching Home Track Heroes here on Seattle 11. We are back here on Home Track Heroes on Seattle 11. It's the Hornet Nationals and it's the Big Ed Ritchie Figure 8 Auto Racing. 60 minutes of fear. Should be fun as we are in Hornet Heat Race action right now. I'm Caleb Hart. He's Ben Iman. Our show brought to you by All Ply Roofing. This is Heat Race number 4, Ben. Our lineup looks like this.
We're excited to see the 91 of Alicia Dixon roll us out first out of Marysville, sponsored by Three Brothers Garage. Starting next to the 222 of Donald Crawley out of Edmonds. Dan Tunga Tungle in the 263 out of Lake Stevens, sponsored by Blue Skies Electric, brings up row 2, starting next to Donna Gillespie in the 024, the ever-evolving 024 out of Salem, Oregon, sponsored by Waltz Woodco.
In row number 3, Dempsey Graham, the 132 out of Duval, sponsored by LAF Tech. Tanner Bjornson's the 01 out of Arlington, sponsored by All Ply Roofing. And the 4th row is Dustin Lytle, the 21L from Marysville, sponsored by Braven Metals. And the very fast Christian Miller in the 77 out of Everett, sponsored by Turbo Espresso. It is 8 cars, 10 times around, on the boot once again for what should be the final Hornet Heat Race here of Home Track Heroes. And the final Hornet Heat Race of 2025.
Oh,
Ben, I see the tear.
Yeah, that is true. This is the last Hornet Heat Race. Is this the final Heat Race of 2025? Let alone all divisions.
It might be.
I don't believe the Outlaws are going to run Heat Races. I think they just have a happy 10 session. So.
Okay.
Yeah, wow, all right.
Which is going to be great for them if they all come through it, and if one of them breaks, it'll be a kind of sad 10.
That'll be a mediocre 10.
Very much so.
The cars we're watching, Caleb, Christian Miller started at the back and has quickly picked off about 3 or 4 spots. The 21L, Dustin Lytle, that's your 2024 Rookie of the Year in the Hornets division, is moving his way forward. But it's Donald Crawley in the 222 up into the front early. I love the misplaced, slightly elevated middle 2 on his door panel.
It just adds a little bit of texture to it, does it not? Bjornson battling with Gillespie and bringing Miller with him as they're to the inside. Donna Gillespie, and like you said, the, about 5th, 6th, 7th iteration of the 024 car that we've seen over the course of time, goes way wide around the corner, tries to outbrake Crawley to the inside, and we've got 3 wide and 4 positions changing hands as Miller to the inside goes 4-1. Thank you very much, new leader Christian Miller.
Wow, Christian Miller planted his car to the low lane. That could have gotten real bad, Caleb, if he drifts up the track at all, or if Bjornson got loose in the middle at all. But everyone kept their composure, and unfortunately, the driver who ultimately had the worst of it is the 024 Donna Gillespie. She's going to fall to 4th after that. Just got pushed up to the high line. Not a lot of traction up there today. We're potentially worried about the conditions or so coming into the day, whether if the wetness from the sky might play a factor. It hasn't so far today, but now Gillespie into a Uke tire.
Look out around with the big cow catcher front bumper, and unfortunately everything's a bit askew on the front of the 024.
I think that cow's been caught, Caleb.
Yeah, the cow is in the barn and currently mooing. Gillespie will still roll through. We stay green, at least for the moment.
Well, Christian Miller has opened up a nice gap here back, but now Dustin Lytle taking it to Tanner Bjornson, going down the inside. The 21L keeping the car planted to the low lane, trying to hold this line, and this is going to be a good spot for Dustin to be in as they work through the weight transfer section, really trying to shove off the 01, and he clears Dustin Lytle up into 2nd here in our 2nd heat race. Right now, Christian Miller up and away, however.
How about that? Back row to the front row, and it only took half of this race to do it, so Miller and Lytle really peeling through that field quite nicely. Let's look backwards and get some more action. There's Dan Tungle. You'll remember Dan. He tried to take out a Uke tire early on in the year. And the 132, Dempsey Graham out of Duval battling with him.
Yeah, Dempsey Graham's trying to pick up a couple spots here, and good to see the 263 return. And Dan, an aggressive driver and always someone who puts on a show, and then they hop behind the wheel of a race car here at Evergreen Speedway. We're quickly clicking these laps down. It's Christian Miller, who is well up and away, Caleb, and I got to knock on wood about that one just to be safe, because I seem to have a reference so far. And
do not lay the commentator's curse. You've already done it once here today. Yeah. So let's hold off on that. 2 to go for Christian, who's got a comfortable advantage, and Lytle can use this time to kind of assess where he is. He can try something. He can experiment if he'd like to, or just say, all right, I'm going to make good laps and see if I'm faster than Christian right now, as they sling their way into the top of the boot and onto the 3rd corner of our 3/8 mile.
Yeah, here comes Graham really pestering the back of the 263, trying to find a way around him if he can, but so far has not been able to find a way around. Christian Miller, however, is going to receive the white flag. Dempsey Graham got real wide off the hump, and that's probably going to end any kind of real challenge to Tungle for Dempsey Graham, although he's really throwing the car into these corners. Maybe I spoke too soon, Caleb. Here comes the 132.
He had a lot of speed coming into the corner and handled it, made a bunch of that ground back up, as Miller's going to drive his way to the victory comfortably over Lytle. You'll see Lytle crossing in 2nd. Little ways back. Here comes Bjornsson. He should get third. And then the battle we were watching, Tungle will hold off Dempsey Graham, although it was closer than I think both of us thought it was going to be.
Yeah, Dempsey did a real good job trying to recover after getting loose. That's a tricky spot to get loose.
It is.
Up over the embanking that is coming off the turn 4 of the 3/8 oval down into the straightaway from the 5/8. It can get kind of hairy if you get loose there and can't collect the car.
Considering as well, where we have drivers coming off of that banking and usually down the front straightaway, they're going into a corner on a 3/8 mile or the corner on the 5/8, which both sweep a little bit more. They're having to jam on those brakes and start making the left-hand corner on what we use for our 5th mile track at that point in time. And that is a big test of your brake system. So, speaking of big tests of the brake system, here's the LCQ. These are going to be the drivers who did not make it from the heat race directly into the A main event. And at the conclusion of this race, the top 4 finishers are going on to the 50-lap A main. Everybody else, their Hornet racing season here at Evergreen Speedway, at least as far as Home Track Heroes is considered, Dunsky.
That's right. Let's walk you through the field. They are led out by the 029 Joseph Villarreal out of Vancouver, Washington, sponsored by Full Throttle Graphics. He'll start next to the aforementioned 222 of Donald Crawley out of Edmonds. Was fast in the heat race. Can it transfer here? Lila Mashburn's on row 2 in the 31L out of Marysville, sponsored by General Car Wash. Starting next to the 46R, Calvin Delaverne out of Snohomish, sponsored by Reppin, Welding, and Rail.
Inside row 3, it's the sponsorless No Hometown number 13 of Luke Davis, and to his outside, the 91 of Alicia Dixon out of Marysville, sponsored by the Three Brothers Garage. 4th row, Pat Folger's 30 car, sponsored by Olympia Pizza, and to his outside, the 212 Xander Crawley out of Edmonds, sponsored by McCormick Medical Distribution.
Zach Dixon pilots the 67, which is the Color Specialist premium quality car paint service car out of Marysville. Starting next to the 68, a former winner of this Hornet Nationals event, Blaine Manning out of Marysville, sponsored by Kenny Shoecar. Austin Crawley completes the Crawley trifecta in the 121 out of Edmonds. Starting next to Donna Gillespie, who's got the cow catcher put back together in the 024 out of Salem, Oregon, sponsored by Waltzwood Co.
Final 3 starters, Chris Ward out of Marysville in car number 18. To his outside, it's the 05X from Staten, the Full Throttle Graphics car of Alex Gurnsum. And then the 14 of Austin Kramer at the back of the field out of Snohomish, Northwest Security and Sound. So, by my count, 15 cars going around. I do not know the lap count, do you? A whole bunch?
It's going to be
Perfect.
15, I think. 15 cars for 15 laps, Caleb.
There's some serendipity there. I like it.
That's, just as we planned.
All right, and the top 4 are moving up. Everybody else is done for the day. So there is fast cars strewn all through this field. We'll watch and see how they end up picking their way through as Villarreal and Crawley leading the Crawley family reunion that are here at Evergreen Speedway for the Hornet Nationals.
You were talking about the new cars? I'm pretty sure that 222 appears to be Jacob Szymanski's old car, the 05. I could be wrong on that, but I believe I'm right.
Well, there's a 05X back in the field. Is there any chance that they just slapped an X on that?
No, that's Alex. That's Alex Gurnsum. I know that.
Okay.
We've had 2 05s this year.
Aha, I see. Green is out. We're underway. Crawley and Villarreal getting after it. Villarreal's got the early lead as they go to complete the first lap. Look out to the inside. Crawley says, give me that lead. Give me it now.
Yeah, and a little bit of getting the door panel out early, a little bit of contact as Crawley was sliding through. Nothing going there, and Villarreal's going to be like, all right, we want to go hard quick. Let's go. Let's put the gas on now. He's going to try to drive around the outside. Luke Davis up into 3rd. That's a transfer spot right now for him. And he's starting to close in the back. Folger and Mashburn, teammates, battling it out for the final transfer spot. It's Delaverne who's dropped back a little bit. Oh, Davis up the track. Was there some contact, Caleb?
Oh, is the Pope Catholic?
Yes, he is.
Okay, just checking. I'm thinking there was a little contact there.
All right. So
more than a little. Villarreal leads. Crawley is voraciously defending second place at the moment. Folger to the inside, going to try to pick his way by as Davis trying to catch back up to him. Those are your 4 transfer cars for now.
Oh, Luke Davis really throwing the 13 in there through the weight transfer section, getting back to the 222. Gave him a little bit of a little nudge. The 222 getting loose up the track. Can he save it? No idea, because we jump back to contact between Gernsum. Ooh, and that's the 18 of Chris Ward, and Blaine Manning's involved. And oh, gentlemen. It's early. Manning's going to get going again. Oh, that right rear, Caleb.
Yeah, that is all kinds of bad on the 222.
Oh, hi, JD.
And the yellow flag is that. That's Ronnie. You know better.
You're right.
Yeah,
I'm sorry.
caution flag out as Manning hanging up at the top of the racetrack in the Kenny Shoe Car 68. And let's see how it all went down. That's Dixon in the camo colored 91 in front that they're chasing. And yeah, wrong place, wrong time for Blaine Manning.
Looks like Chris Ward, Alex Gernsum. Girl bossed a little too close to the sun, Caleb.
That happens. So we will restack them, re-rack them, get them ready to go. This has been physical here early in this B feature. Really physical. Glad you guys are with us. Our program brought to you by All Ply Roofing, as it has been all year long, as Villarreal, Folger, Davis, 1 through 3, and forward into 4th. What we got there? Green race car? Look at
Zach Dixon.
Zach Dixon. Nice job by Zach moving forward.
Delaverne, Gillespie moves up quite a few spots. Mashburn, Alicia Dixon. There's which Crawley is that? That's
you got a 1 of 3 shot.
I think that's going to be the 212 of Xander. My guess is Donald was unable to continue.
If they could get that right rear fixed that quickly, because it looked like it was more than just swap a tire out. There might have been some damage over in that corner.
Yeah, it didn't look like, it wasn't quite sure which direction it wanted to roll. I think it was trying to really throw the cast and camber all over the place.
Well, when you're road racing like these corners, you don't put a whole lot of camber into the car. You kind of want to leave it as neutral as you can possibly get it. So hopefully straight up, and they can get her fixed before, I don't know, April.
Yeah.
They got some time.
Well, we're going 3 wide of the lead for a moment. It looks like great restart for Pat Folger. The 30 car up into the lead, makes the move on Villarreal. Here comes Luke Davis to the inside now, has to back out of it.
Careful.
Zach Dixon up the track. Zach Dixon's got googly eyes on the front of that car, Caleb.
It makes me happy. Dixon driving up and around and into the 3rd place. He's got a big old bend down low. Yeah. Villarreal takes a shot to the shorts. He gets around but keeps his foot in the gas. And Retribution, thy name might be Joseph Villarreal, coming up here in just a little bit.
Yeah, that was a heavy hit. And Gernsum.
Wow.
Watch, please do not hit our photographer, Alex, as he's going to hit some stack of tires.
That stack of tires came out of nowhere.
Yeah, you know what? It's true.
Surprised him.
It did just appear, which is tough. Well, Zach Dixon, Donna Gillespie 2nd, 3rd, Luke Davis holding on to the final transfer spot. Joseph Villarreal, first car on the outside looking in. We'll go on back with the rear cam of Zach Dixon, who's got some rope on the back of his car. Because why not?
Hey, you never know when you're going to need a rope. As Dixon, the Brandy Hood Promotions rear view shot here of watching, and it's amazing. It's their 4 cylinders are whipping down, but look at the speed, and look at the speed sensation as you get that lower to the racetrack kind of viewpoint from Dixon here.
Yeah, Zach Dixon driving the 67 today. Pausing so every 14-year-old at home can do the current internet trend. Davis is trying to get around on the 024, can't quite make the move stick, and he slipped back into 4th and is going to have to defend from a hard-charging Joseph Villarreal. This is a good run here for the final. The 121. And Lila Mashburn, cars are strewn everywhere. Not quite sure what happened there. I was going to say, this is a really great battle between 2nd, 3rd, 4th, and 5th for the transfer spots, but looks like Folger is going to come up on Mashburn, his teammate, and have to put her a lap down.
Wow, look at the big surge there from Gillespie trying to get to the outside of Dixon, as all of that space that she made up, as she'll make a bid for it coming off that corner. And you can see that in the left-hand side of your screen now. Donna Gillespie trying to move solidly into 2nd. She will make the pass here on that first little left-hand corner and onto the back straightaway.
Yeah, that 024, it's been quick in every race it's appeared in, but I was going to say, happy to see how quick it is after taking a Uke tire earlier in the heat race. That's not an easy thing to come back from necessarily, Caleb, and thankfully for Donna, the car feels okay. She's still racing quickly and has gotten around Zach Dixon for a 2nd.
Time is starting to become precious for the drivers on the outside of the top 4 looking in, as that is 2nd and 3rd in your screen right now, with Gillespie and Dixon. 4th place, the 13 of Luke Davis, and Davis is getting pressure from Joseph Villarreal right in behind you. Remember, Villarreal was in 2nd when he got punted relatively hard. Now trying to make his way and scramble his way back forward as we're down to just 5 laps to go.
This will be for the final transfer spot. He will pull alongside Luke Davis. Will Davis get defensive, try to compromise Villarreal's line? No, drifts up the track and going to open the door wide for the 029 to step right through and say thank you very much. Now Villarreal's going to get defensive, try to maybe chop the nose of the 13 a little bit. Luke Davis going to fall in behind. He's going to have the inside line. No, Villarreal shuts the door. These drivers know what's on the line. They know they only got 4 to go, and they're really starting to drive each other hard. We'll see if Luke Davis has any kind of shot to get back to the 029.
Little light contact between the two as Villarreal trying to drive away. Our big thanks to Angel of the Winds Casino Resort and RV Resort, the official casino resort of Evergreen Speedway. Angel of the Winds takes great pride in being the best in customer service, entertainment, lodging, fun, and gaming in the entire Northwest.
We're watching this battle, the final spot for the transfer line on the cut line. Joseph Villarreal above. Luke Davis right behind him, the odd man looking out, having to get back to the 029 if he wants to go play for all the marbles later on tonight. Right now he's got to get himself back to that car, which the 029, incredibly fast in every race it's been on. They're coming up on Zach Dixon, closing that gap for third a little bit. Something that might help them here with is we're down to 2 to go with Folger taking the line. Lap traffic looks like.
Let's see if the slower traffic is going to play a factor here as we look further back in the field between the 30 of Folger and Manning in the 68, who, if you were taking betting odds earlier, you'd figure those two would have been making their way through and be somewhere in those top 4, but unfortunately, things did not shake out quite their way, as those two might be looking for an early trailer day.
Yeah, unfortunate run for those two. Folger, white flag, 1 more to go for the Olympia Pizza Machine in the 30, and well, this is a great run from Pat. Right place, right time. Had a really great restart, got to the lead, and never looked back in the 30s. He goes through the weight transfer section for the final time in this last chance qualifier and back up onto the 3/8 of a mile oval. Pat Folger, who's had a really, really strong September, will keep it hot in cold October, picks up a last chance qualifier win, and will move on to the A main.
All right, through the LCQ goes Folger. Through the LCQ goes Gillespie. Dixon making his way home, and in 4th, your final transfer, Joseph Villarreal. Congratulations to those 4. They have made the Hornet National A main, which is coming up in just a little bit here on Home Track Heroes on Seattle 11. It's time for the biggest event of our PRCBD Hornets season. Hornet Nationals start right now here on Home Track Heroes on Seattle 11. Our show brought to you by All Ply Roofing. I'm Caleb Hart. He is Ben. I'm Ben. We are turning these guys loose for 50 times around here at Evergreen Speedway. There is $1,000 on the line for the winner, and on the pole for this one, Tanner Bjornsson, the youngster out of Arlington, the All Ply Roofing 01. To his outside, it'll be Trinity Reppin in the 45 out of Snohomish, sponsored by Reppin Welding and Rail. Row number 2 is Randy Moffat, the 102 out of Everett, sponsored by Salty Dog Pest Control. To his outside, it's the 00, the Silver Bullet of Dan Miller out of Everett, sponsored by Exterior Wall Systems.
Dustin Lytle in the 21L out of Marysville, sponsored by Braven Metals, is on row number 3, starting next to Fast Man Bobby Houck in the 08 out of Snohomish, sponsored by Snow Valley Farms. Bryson Wingfield in the 65 out of Monroe, sponsored by Papa. Tony Hill leads off row 4. He'll start next to Peyton Hopp in the 16, the cut shop of Woodville Machine out of Snohomish.
In the 5th row on the inside, it's the 77 of Christian Miller out of Everett, sponsored by Turbo Espresso. To his outside, the G2 of Brad Gruel out of Gold Bar, sponsored by Estes Heating and Cooling. 6th row, it's a family affair with the 17S of Gino Solomon out of North Bend, sponsored by Valley Asphalt, and his grandson, Diesel Snyder, the 717 out of Cleolum, sponsored by Handy in the Valley.
I believe that's where the invert is, Caleb. That's your fast time qualifier with Diesel Snyder. The 43, Damon Claiborne out of Snohomish, is the Kia of Everett Machine, starting next to the 86 of David Dixon out of Stanwood, sponsored by Three Brothers Garage. Stephen Dodson makes the A main in the 25 out of Arlington, sponsored by Sky Power Wash. Starting next to the 263 of Dan Tungle out of Lake Stevens, sponsored by Blue Skies Electric.
9th row to the inside, the Handy in the Valley 15 of Matt Snyder out of Snohomish. Watch for him to be coming up from the back. And to his outside, Brandy Jones, the 016 out of Granite Falls, the Full Throttle Graphics car. 10th row is Cameron Iverson in the 810 out of Buckley. And the final qualifier from the heat races, the 132 of Dempsey Graham out of Duval, sponsored by LAF Tech.
Here you go, your 4 transfers. They all took the option, Caleb. Pat Folger in the 30, sponsored by Olympia Pizza. Next to the 024 of Donna Gillespie out of Salem, Oregon, sponsored by Waltz Wood Co. In row 12, Zach Dixon in the 67 out of Marysville. The Color Specials Premium Quality Car Paint Service starts next to the 029 of Joseph Villarreal out of Vancouver, sponsored by Full Throttle Graphics. The pace car takes the right-hander, 1,000 big ones on the line, 50 laps. This is the longest Hornet race of the year. Whose equipment's going to hold up, Caleb? That's going to be the question.
24 cars, full field. Only thing missing is our champion. No Zach Bristol here for this one. So who's it going to end up being? Let's find out. As we're up and underway. And to the early lead goes Tanner Bjornsson.
Who gets aggressive early? And by the way, cars quickly moving early. Here comes Diesel Snyder to the inside, already peeking into the top 5, it appears. Who's going to get aggressive early? Who wants to get up front? And who wants to just be able to settle in and say, you know what, I can run comfortably here. There is no tire games in Hornet racing as Reppin pulls alongside Bjornsson, challenging for the lead early. So drivers don't have to sit around and conserve a tire or that kind of thing like you'd see late models do over a long extended run.
They're on a DOT street tread, so something that you can wander down to your local tire pros and pick up and throw onto your Hornet car as they'll work their way in through the boot with Bjornsson leading lap number 1 over Reppin, and Lytle, who has worked his way into third. He's looking for second. Little love tap to the rear corner panel, and he'll work his way to the inside. Dustin Lytle has second place, and he's trying to bring Dan Miller with him.
Yeah, Dustin Lytle, the 2024 Rookie of the Year, is going to clear for second and going to move Reppin back to third, and Dan Miller, the Silver Bullet, trying to close in and get into that top 3. Here comes Diesel Snyder. That man, bad fast, Caleb. Diesel Snyder has been so quick all year long, joined an elite company, winning 3 main events in one night this season, and you can see, got into the grass, did some manicuring for Don Fairley, and kept rolling like it was nothing.
Here's the thing for Snyder, because we know he's got the car speed. He's going to have to protect himself. Now, he's done a good job. He advanced from 12th to 5th already, and he's got himself out of kind of that pack of cars that are going to be side by side and nose to tail for a little while around here. He's got himself away from them, so he can afford to take his time and pick these drivers off when he sees a safe path to do it. You don't want to get too overly aggressive and take yourself out of the race. As we've got a bid for the lead, it is Lytle coming after your leader.
Yeah, Dustin really trying to poke the nose in front of Bjornsson. Has the inside lane. That is the spot you want to have. They really lean on each other and open the door wide open. Did they get hooked together momentarily? Here comes Trinity Reppin, right place, right time. Hello, lead.
Yeah, you can't just give spots like that. That's strange that Lytle ended up swinging so far wide, as now they're almost 3 wide getting in the corner. Little bumper tag, and it was Snyder who had to use the front bumpers. Dan Miller getting involved. Everybody pressuring Trinity Reppin in the yellow 45. Lytle to the outside, Miller to the inside, and Snyder right there as well.
Wow, all these drivers so tight through that weight transfer section. They all made it work. Trinity Reppin trying to clear Dustin Lytle. Here comes Dan Miller's going to have a good run to the inside. Can he make it 2 for 1 in one corner? Drag racing to the left-hander. The sweeping left-hander, no. Gets early on the brake, settles in here. Not sure what happened to the 01 Bjornsson, how far he's fallen. Here comes the 717 Diesel Snyder, who got up on the 21L's wheel. It looks like they just kept rolling.
That car almost hopped for a second. Did you see it?
Yeah.
It's like it got airborne for just a blink of an eye. And again, you got to be careful here. Now, for Snyder, you got to be careful because you may have the fastest car in the field and you don't want to get caught up. If you're Miller, you want to get out and rabbit. And I say that. Miller has traditionally gotten faster as the race goes on. He's one of those guys that steadily will move his way up and through the field, and the 00 car really starts picking up the pace towards the tail end. If you can put some distance between yourself and Snyder, which unfortunately for him, Snyder just got through at the same time, you want to take it. Here's Claiborne making a big move up the field.
Caleb, we've got 7 cars under a blanket. They're not sure where they want to be. This is 3rd through 9th right now, all duking it out. Dustin Lytle hanging in there with the big boys so far. And Bryson Wingfield stalled in the weight transfer. We'll come back to that. Gruhl pushes Lytle up the track. Diesel Snyder got up into 2nd, got a little aggressive with Reppin, wasn't afraid to throw a little bit of the elbow, one would say. Now Gruhl drag racing with Lytle. Damon Claiborne, Fred Flintstone himself up into 3rd.
You think Lytle kind of came in with the attitude of, I'll bring my friends with me to the track here, brother, because he isn't making any here on the day, that's for sure.
That appears to be maybe a strategy. Get aggressive early and use your up front starting position to your advantage. Right now, the 717 trying to get to Dan Miller in the 00. We've put 10 laps down, Caleb, but 40 more to go.
And this 10 went fast, too. These guys are setting a blistering pace out there.
Yeah, they said, we don't know what patience is. We don't know biding our time. We just drive straight and forward and fast, Hornets. Now, Damon Claiborne, who's probably, I would say, the only driver in this field, Caleb, who could lay a claim to having the fastest car just on raw speed in the field next to Diesel. It's got to be Diesel or Damon.
He's had moments this year where the 43 has looked just as quick as the 717, and kind of depends on the day, you know, the course you're on and what you're doing. Right now, he is keeping pace with the 00 and the 717. Snyder all over the back of Miller. Miller has not made the big boo-boo yet. Dan's typically not. He is such a savvy veteran that he's going to know where to have the car, when to have it. He's going to make Snyder get around him. He's not going to give it to him.
Now, this is a good battle right now. This is for 8th and 9th. Bobby Houck, the onboard with the 08. Thank you to Brandy Hood Promotions again for all of the onboard footage. And, we've got some bumper cover waggling about. A Bill Bleem impression for Dan Miller after getting some contact with Diesel Snyder in the 717. Now, a little bit of a crossover move in the weight transfer. Miller cannot come down because he's side by side with Diesel. And Diesel's just going to push him up the track a little bit using the line defensively. Outbreaks Dan Miller, and now is just going to be able to outspeed Dan Miller.
Yeah, Diesel set that move up really well by having that quick little outside-in move coming through this portion of the boot, and it worked well for him. He had enough power to get Dan cleared. You're clear when you get to his numbers. Dan couldn't come down to chop. Not that he's a chop, but couldn't come down to block, the better way to put it. And now we'll see if Snyder can stretch his legs and add some distance. Claiborne desperately wants to get around Miller. If he's got the car speed that he thinks he does to keep up with Snyder, you cannot get hung up behind the 00 for long.
No, and Damon's getting aggressive. Here he goes. Fred Flintstone making the move up into second. Yes, he will be. The 43, Damon Claiborne. This is the battle I think fans of Hornet Racing have been wanting to see all year long. Haven't seen Damon Claiborne and Diesel Snyder duke it out in these A mains often. Diesel running a predominantly Stinger-heavy schedule this season, competing for Rookie of the Year in that division. You'll get a chance to see him run the Stinger Little 30 on a Home Track Heroes episode coming to you soon enough. But right now, Claiborne, Snyder, here we go, Caleb. And they're going to have, and here's the thing, is Diesel Snyder going to have to play defense? He's going to have 35 laps to play defense.
And he's also going to have to be the guy leading them through traffic. He's going to have to be the first one to make the decision on how I'm going to try to go around, and that allows Claiborne to kind of be the predator in this case instead of the prey. As they're going to split Brad Gruel, it is Lytle and Christian Miller making a Gruel sandwich, put it on rye and slap some oregano on it and call her good, as Miller and Lytle both making their way by.
Wow, this battle's getting aggressive right now. This is, I believe, 6th or maybe 4th, 5th, 6th, and 7th, I'd say, between these drivers. Lytle really sticking it to them. The 21L gaining a lot of speed across the years, gotten hot here in the fall months as well. But Christian Miller trying to outbreak him, don't know if he can. They're going to run into a lap car of Zach Dixon, but there's third place. There's Dan Miller. Wow, Dan has really dropped off towards this pack.
Yeah, here comes Christian. Baby boy is running fourth now. Peyton Hopp using the right front to send Lytle careening up into Dixon. They all settle down as they'll go 3 wide into the corner, battling in your top 6 at the moment. And side by side for the spot, Peyton Hopp advancing through.
Yeah, good move by Hopp. Hopp, a savvy racer himself, a former champion in this division. He won the Stinger Nationals competition earlier this year, so 2025, good year for Peyton Hopp, getting married as well, should mention, so congrats to Peyton as we're going, there's the lap traffic we talked about.
And there's Damon Claiborne, right place, right time. Snyder up into the back of the Villarreal car.
Whoa.
Claiborne thought he had it, but Snyder aggressively back up into the lead.
Oh, Damon Claiborne had the lead momentarily, won't lead the lap. Diesel gets him back before they get to the line, but whew, that got hairy for a moment. We've put 20 laps down, Caleb. Now a normal length A main feature left to go.
As they continue to sort their way through traffic, family versus family here. Father, son in the 0077. Dan Miller the elder, Christian the younger. Christian get a power by on the inside portion of the corner getting in, and they work in heavy lap traffic now as they battle for third.
Yeah, good move there for Christian to get himself up onto the podium as things stand right now around his dad, Dan Miller. And right now, this is an interesting battle to see how it finishes. Diesel Snyder's going to have to work hard to defend Damon Claiborne, but he's got a fast car, and he's a good wheelman, so there's a good chance he can hold on to this. And Damon is going to throw everything he has at Diesel, and if Damon thinks he has a car that can get there, he is going to be on his back bumper for all 29 of these laps.
You're saying dear kitchen sink, get ready to get tossed?
Oh, you know what? I'm sure the kitchen sink. For sure, as the 263 is slow. Tough break Dan Tungle, and he's going to limp that thing back on the 5.8 oval towards his pit box.
We are just short of the halfway mark this next time by. It'll be 27 in the books, or sorry, 23 in the books, 27 remaining. Snyder doing a good job of holding off Claiborne for now. As they're free of slower traffic, little love tap into the corner. Damon backed off the throttle, though, and let him gather it back together. You can see that as they're going to work their way into the boot once again. We watch the battle for the lead, and we thank BECU, Boeing Employee Credit Union, believing in people over profit. Discover the BECU difference. BECU, committed to your financial well-being. Check out all the financial program offerings at becu.org.
Well, Damon Claiborne pestering the back of the 717 like a toy chihuahua barking from a tiny purse. Can Claiborne get there? It's going to be the question. You saw him back out after he made contact with Diesel Snyder. Damon doesn't want to move him, spin him out and to make the pass. Damon wants to get him on the speed. He's not afraid to get aggressive, but he doesn't want to cross that line, you'd say either.
Not on lap 23.
Sure.
If this is the last lap and you love tap him, you're probably going for it.
Sure.
And go say apologies later.
Sure, absolutely.
Right?
But we're just now to the halfway point of this race.
Yeah, there's still plenty of opportunity at this point in time to find a way around, and Claiborne is right there. I mean, there's less than a car length between them. Heck, less than half a car length in between them, as Claiborne could probably read the stickers on the Snyder bumper. They are now coming into some slower cars again. You can see them lingering about half a straightaway away as we look in car on Damon Claiborne.
Those are some nice gloves and a real nice wheel on that Hornet car.
It's a beautiful MPI wheel and some very vibrant yellow gloves.
Well, Claiborne all over the back of his little Kia sticker there on board. Of course, sponsored by Kia of Everett, a big part of what makes Damon Claiborne's racing program out here. And looks like Diesel's really starting to pull a little bit on the straightaway, off the turn 3-4 oval, down into the turn. But this is where Damon's picking up onto him in the corners here, around the weight transfer section. So you're going to have to see. Now, here's going to be an interesting blockade of cars for Diesel Snyder. Looking at Wingfield, looking at Moffitt. Not quite sure who's also in this group right now, but this is going to be a tough way for them to make their way forward. Dixon's in there as well. What can Diesel do? Has to get hard on the brake there, Diesel does. Can allow Claiborne to really close up.
Oh, and that's the big spot right there for Diesel, picking off about 2 in that one shot and getting to the inside, coming through this turn on Dixon. That was huge for him as he just picked off a number of cars, and that's going to set him up really well for about the next 5 to 7 laps or so.
And that's going to set Claiborne back. He's going to have to close up, but Damon did a good job navigating the traffic as well. Followed Diesel through, let Diesel pick the line, and now here's Christian Miller and all of this getting tapped into Randy Moffitt. Peyton Hop's going to go sailing through, right time, right place for the cut shop of Woodinville Machine. Christian's going to have to split some lap cars. Ooh, that's getting hairy. Here comes Brad Gruel into the picture of the G2 trying to get up into 4th.
As we saw Gruel become sandwich mode earlier, he has fought and clawed his way back up into a top 5. He is 4th with Peyton Hop just now taking 3rd. Hop's got a long way to go, though, to run down your lead 2, who continue to battle out in front of this one. And we are beyond halfway. In fact, 30 laps are down, 20 to go, Ben. It is overtime for what a normal length Hornet race would be.
Absolutely. It's going to be an intense one to the finish.
All right, that finish is coming up in the next segment. You're watching Home Track Heroes here on Seattle 11. 19 laps left to go for 1,000 American dollars here in the Hornet Nationals here on Home Track Heroes on Seattle 11. Our show brought to you by All Ply Roofing. I'm Caleb Hardy's Ben Iman. Ben, it's intense out there. We're watching the battle for 3rd, as actually it was 4th and 5th there. Brad Gruel trying to move forward. Flashback. These are your leaders, 1 and 2. It is the blue with bright, I don't know, red, pink number 717, and Peyton Hop. Look out, the car behind him was the 43 of Damon Claiborne in 2nd. That's 3rd, 4th, and 5th. The 16 of Hop, the 77 of Christian Miller, and the G2 of Brad Gruel.
It's more Dustin Lytle's in that battle, too. He's running 6th right now. So This is for everyone that final step on the podium. And Lytle taking it to Gruel. Christian Miller following off the back of Peyton Hopp a little bit, struggling to get around David Dixon. Now Miller will cross him over and go to the inside here. And Lytle really holding that inside line. Ooh, out breaks Brad Gruel. Great lunge for Lytle to get through the lap traffic.
So Lytle has now got 5th. As he tries to close up on the back of Christian Miller, as Lytle is hunting a podium down here late. They have now run 33 laps. It's 3 laps longer than a typical Hornet race, and they've done them non-stop here. We have not had a stoppage, so a little wear and tear starting to factor in as we watch the battle for the lead on the left-hand side of the screen.
Yeah, car care will come into the factor here. How long can your car run at the high RPMs and the punishment you're putting it under turning this course right now. And the drivers, the Hornet class does run, I feel like, green to checkered a good chunk of the time, so it's not unusual for them to run all the way through. But they also have their nights like any division where the caution flag flies. But tonight that hasn't been the case, and now as we're continuing to push harder and longer, it's going to be interesting.
50 laps around effectively 3/8 of a mile. I say effectively 3/8 of a mile. It's not quite that much, but that's a long time for these little 4 cylinders to run if they're not properly ventilated, if they don't got enough air getting to the engine, etc. And with as hard as they're being pushed, Damon Claiborne right up on the back of Snyder again as he gets ready to pressure him. You have got 5 stacked up in a row of slower cars that Snyder's going to have to make his way through coming up here soon.
That's Damon's situational awareness. He sees the lap traffic in front of him, and he sees that is going to play a factor, and Diesel's going to have to pick his way through. That is the shot to Diesel saying, I'm here. Look, these laps are ticking down. I'm not waiting around. I've rode around behind you for quite a while now, and have taken a shot or two when it could have come. As this battle is getting around Bryson Wingfield, Hopp, Miller, and Lytle, 3rd, 4th, and 5th right now. As Hopp's going to get pinched down the inside. Here's the big crossover from Christian Miller. Set that move up beautifully, Christian, and through the 77 goes back up into 3rd.
Little teammate on teammate racing going on there as a big move and a brilliantly executed one by Miller. Miller is really wowing the car up a lot more getting into this first corner than anybody else is, but I think it's setting him up really well to have a good exit of the turn through the boot section.
Yes.
And you're watching him try to stretch it over Peyton Hopp. He's opened up, say, a car length right now as they work their way into the corner. We're coming down to 11 laps to go in this one. Home Track Heroes today, sponsored by Busch Light Beer, the official beer of NASCAR, and Evergreen Speedway. Busch Beer, the sound of refreshment, crisp and cold as a mountain stream. Busch.
We are on board with Peyton Hopp here, trying to get to Christian Miller. Donna Gillespie right out of the lap car in front, and Dustin Lytle's got a good run on Peyton Hopp, gives him a little bit of a shot. Up to the track goes Hopp, can open the door. Dustin Lytle just a little bit of a pinch, and going to try to make that move stick. The 21L 3 wide with some lap traffic, going to make a Hopp sandwich. And Dustin Lytle can't outdrive the 16 into the weight transfer. They go side by side, but Lytle will have the inside line on Hopp. Hopp's going to have to go up the racetrack. There's not been a lot of traction up there today, and there won't be as this race continues. Dustin Lytle up into 4th. A great move by Lytle, and now the 21L has a chance to try to run down Christian Miller for the podium.
Let's see how much longer Hopp is willing to let Lytle go by without giving him a love tap back. Meanwhile, up into that group, Snyder's done a pretty good job of picking his way through that slower traffic. Claiborne still right on his back, coming off the corner. Claiborne angling a little bit lower, coming into the corner. It's a bit for the lead into 1.
Couldn't quite make it work there, though. But now Diesel has cleared the lap traffic. Damon knows, all right, now I've got to make something happen. Trying to get to the outside. Diesel, big lockup. Problems for Snyder into the concrete wall. He's ended up here last year, and he ends up here again, trying to stay on the gas. No, I think the caution flag is out.
Yeah, the yellow lights came on, and boy, we've got a little to diagnose here, do we not?
There it is, that left front, Caleb.
Oh, and Diesel Snyder is on the gas. I'm wondering if he's coming for some retribution here. And I don't think the contact between... Nope, he's gone off onto the 5/8 and heading in. So let's watch it. Comes into the corner.
No, it's down there.
You can see, tire is down.
Wow.
And yeah, there's just a little bit of a love tap there from Claiborne, but Claiborne can't do anything there. Diesel's heading straight on into the wall, and Damon's trying to get his car turned.
That's 2 years in a row. The 717 has ended up in that section of the wall during Das Booth. The tire goes down, and he'll have to head to his local Tire Pros dealer and get that thing replaced. We're on board with Damon. You can see right there, he loses that. Oh yeah, you can see it will really start to come off the rim and just nowhere for Damon to go. And unfortunate break for Diesel.
He was, you watched that in-car shot, and Damon was completely crossed up with his hands on the steering wheel trying to get that thing around so he didn't tag him even more than he was. So what a rough run there for Diesel Snyder, who had led the bulk of this race. And now Damon Claiborne up on the front row, Dustin Lytle with a chance to pull the surprise of a lifetime here.
Yeah, Dustin Lytle must have gotten third at the line while that battle was going on, while we were watching the battle for the lead. And for Damon Claiborne, you know, that was, we talked about it, Caleb, coming into it, is the longevity of this race, 50 laps. Could your stuff hold up? Diesel Snyder's tire, let's go on him. 8, just a heat race distance shy. Think about that. If Diesel Snyder doesn't run the heat race tonight, he puts 8 less laps on that tire.
Does that tire hold?
That's the shoulda, coulda, wouldas. Wow. And so Damon Claiborne is going to have to defend a fast Dustin Lytle. His Hornets Nest teammates behind him, 2nd, 3rd, and 4th.
Ooh.
And, fourth. That was 3rd, 4th, 5th. And contact everywhere. Cars go scattering. Here comes Christian Miller up into 2nd. Claiborne is away. Lytle into 3rd. Dan Miller, solid drive for the 00, has kind of faded back a little bit in the mid-portion of this race, but now comes back on late. He's up into 4th, Peyton Hop 5th.
Cautions breed cautions, but we managed to get away from one there, and Claiborne trying to find some breathing room between himself, Christian Miller, and Dustin Lytle, as everybody else is going to scramble for a final finishing position here.
Dempsey Graham into the top 5, I appear, I think in the 132, or
no,
maybe
he was
6th.
lapped.
Oh, is he lapped on there?
Well, lapped at this point in time may not mean a whole lot considering how many cars that your lead pack had gotten through.
Yeah, I'm not quite sure where we landed up. He was running up there with Gino Solomon. So I thought that battle was for position. Maybe not.
We'll take a look. So 1 through 5, Claiborne, Miller, Lytle, Hop, and Miller. So that's your top 5. So you're looking at 5 right there. Behind them, Gino Solomon 6, and hard to say. We'll keep working our way through and watching as Lytle making a bid to the inside. Dustin Lytle looking for 2nd from Christian Miller, and Miller cedes the spot to him coming out of turn 1.
Yeah, Christian. The 21Ls just had a little bit more than the 77 so far in the later laps of this race, but Christian driving hard, not giving it up easy. Dustin's going to hold that inside. We're on board with Christian Miller as they go side by side. Dustin gets the nose in front, Lytle does, trying to close up on Christian, squeezes him a tad bit. Beautiful side by side drag race to the line as they come in. The 21L trying to outbrake Christian Miller, trying to clear him, and will right there. Dustin Lytle up into 2nd. Great run for the 21L. 4
laps to try to figure it out for the rest of this one for Dustin Lytle, who now runs 2nd. And yeah, taking a look at that running order there, Ben, your leaders did lap way up and into this field. Dempsey Graham is indeed in 7th place at the moment. We were seeing your leader, Diesel Snyder, going to pass him on that last sequence of events.
Gotcha.
So, yeah, crazy how far they made it up. But hey, 50 laps, lots happens, right?
And we ran 42 of them straight green. So not surprised there. Christian Miller trying to get back to the 21L of Lytle. Couldn't quite make the move stick there as the sun starts to set for the final time in 2025 racing here at the Super Speedway of the West. Damon Claiborne is 2 laps away, Caleb. A year to remember for the 43 machine. Came up just shy of winning a championship in the Hornet division. Loses out to his teammate Zach Bristol, but he said to lose to a guy like Zach Bristol, then all he can do is smile and know that he just got beat.
Well, you know what? There's about to be a big old $1,000 feather in the cap of the year here for Damon Claiborne as he has got a comfortable lead. Dan Tungle kind of held up Lytle and Miller for a second as slower traffic, but hey, they got to pass him too as we're down to 1 to go. 1 more big left, and then hard on the gas coming off the 3/8 through 3 and off of corner number 4. Hornet Nationals win. Damon Claiborne.
The drag race to the line is going to go the way of the 21L. Dustin Lytle, a great run for the 2024 Rookie of the Year, comes home 2nd. Christian Miller ends off his performances in 2025 with a final podium. Damon Claiborne, how about that? Going to burn it down, I'm sure, one more time for us. Known for a solid burnout at the end of his wins, the 43 Rs. Fred Flintstone himself Christian Miller's teammate going to come up right behind him, potentially give him some congratulations. Here comes all of the Hornets Nest Racing crew here today, but just an incredible race for 50 laps, Caleb. The fact that we ran so many of them green, as Dan Miller's pointing out the window, congratulating to Damon, that was just great racing. These drivers raced so hard, they left on line. Heartbreak for Diesel Snyder, who we have to get incredibly. Probably had the faster car than Damon Claiborne today.
Diesel's had an incredible year, and our tip of the cap to him. It didn't end up being an incredible race for him today. Random mechanical failure does happen. Today, the kudos belong to Damon Claiborne. Steering wheel out the window and putting on the smoke show. Let's go down to the Angel of the Winds Casino Resort podium to talk to the Hornet Nationals winner, Damon Claiborne.
All right, Christian, 50-lap main event end off the year and one more podium collected up for you. How do you think your 2025 season went overall?
Overall, I think I persevered pretty well. Did not go the way I wanted it to. Had a lot of hardships at the end of the year, let's put it that way. But, you know, it was nice to get a podium for the last race of the year. Unfortunately, all the fans are out of here after the fireworks. But, yeah, no, it was an all right year. Beating myself up a little bit, but that's all right.
And who helped you get that 77 car out here all year long?
I got to thank Kenny and Bob Shoecar. Those guys have helped me so much. Kenny's loaned me a truck all year. Bob's always on my side with anything I need. Turbo Espresso, exterior wall systems, Fast Eddie's Tire Pros, Rick's Mobile AC, Flooring Direct, BSR, my dad, Hornets Nest Racing. I love those guys so much. I couldn't do it without them. All the fans, thank you guys. If you guys weren't out here, we couldn't do this, so I appreciate it.
Christian Miller ends off 2025 on the podium in third place. Dustin, quite a race there. You were sparring up inside the top 5 all night long, end up coming home second, getting Christian in there at the end. Walk me through having to survive all 50 of those laps.
Honestly, I didn't think I could. Like, I was getting beat up out there for a while, but you know, car held up and she was fast, so second place, I'll take it.
A strong second place tonight. What are your plans, hopefully, for 2026 to do?
I don't know. Hopefully fix the car and bring her back out for a full season next year and see what we can do.
Well, second place got to feel pretty good at the last end of the year. Who helps you get that 21 LL out here?
Brad, come here. Come here. Come on. This man, Brad Gould, right here, man. I could not do it without him. This dude right here. And then I'd like to thank Braven and Summer Tree LLC for, you know, sponsoring me and helping me get out here as well.
Well, a strong second place finish here, 21L, Dustin Lytle. Ended up second in the points championship at the end of the year, but to finish the year with the Hornet Nationals wins, got to feel pretty good for you and the team.
Oh, absolutely. I had a lot of weight put on my shoulders for this race because Zach Bristol picked me to win it, so I can't let the 3-time champ down.
Well, you had quite the race there, battling it out with Diesel Snyder for a long time. Ended up the right thing, right place, right time a little bit. You were trying to get around him. You two were duking it out for quite a long race. Talk about, is your strategy any different over a long race when it's 50 laps like that?
Oh, absolutely. I was pushing it pretty hard there at the beginning, trying to get around him. I realized it was going to be a really hard fight throughout the whole race, so I kind of backed it down a little. We were starting to get into some lap cars. I tried to take advantage a few times, just couldn't quite get it done. Unfortunately, it sounds like his left front tire went down. Bummer for him. He was driving a really good race, and it would have been probably a photo finish between the two of us there at the end because I was going to give it my all trying to get around him. But on that restart, I knew what I had to get done, and that was beat the 21L into turn 1, and I did. So once I had him cleared, I knew I probably had the race wrapped up.
And who helps you get that car out here all year long?
First and foremost, got to thank Kia of Everett. They employ me. They sponsor me. Great group of people. Hopefully, if they were out here tonight, we put on a good show for them. Gia Northwest. Of course, Brandy with Brandy Hood Promotions. She's such an amazing woman, and she does so much for all the racers out here at the racetrack. So, you know, I just want to take a minute to thank her specifically because she's literally documenting my history. Every race, she runs my GoPros, and I mean, that's something, you know, you can't pay enough money for. It's something I really appreciate. Thank you, Brandy. Bob Shoe Car, Flooring Direct, and the whole Hornets Nest team. These guys are some of the best dudes to race with. We elevate each other and challenge each other, and it's just so much fun.
Your Hornets national champion, the 43 of Damon Claiborne.
Well, after a thrilling Hornet Nationals, upwards and onwards we go here on Home Track Heroes on Seattle 11. Our show brought to you by All Ply Roofing. I'm Caleb Hart. He has been Iman, and Ben, I'm going to let you give us the full name of this one because it's the biggest boys and the baddest toys going 60 minutes.
Yeah, it's the Buzzin' Steakhouse Big Ed Ritchie 60 Minutes of Fear featuring the Chain Link Express Wash Outlaw figure 8s, Caleb.
Hey, well done. It's a
Thank
mouthful.
you. It is.
Hopefully we got a lot of racing to talk about for these guys. 14 cars out here with us, and they are going 60 minutes long here in this one. We'll explain timing rules a little bit more for you as we go, but first we got to get you the lineup, and your pole sitter for this one, the Brondage Bone Concrete Pumping 83G of Zach Larson out of Kent. Ryan Clark, our season champion out of Granite Falls, the Action Machine, number 51. Now, row number 2, it's the Cowboy, John Carlson in the 50 out of Monroe, sponsored by the Fireplace Guy. To his outside, it's the 74 of Chris Curtis out of Tulalip, sponsored by Bulldog Haven Northwest.
Nick Holton pilots the MCA Creations 71 out of Marysville, starting next to the 767 of Jamie Corbett out of Arlington, sponsored by A1 Auto Service Center. It's an all Wilkinson row number 4. Dakota Wilkinson running the final race in this throwback number 9 tonight out of Lake Stevens, sponsored by Tony V's Garage. He'll start next to his dad, Doug Wilkinson, in the 53 out of Lake Stevens, also sponsored by Tony V's Garage.
In the 5th row, welcome back James Conley out of Las Vegas, Nevada, the 25 car. To his outside, Haley Wilkinson, Doug's daughter, Dakota's sister, the 35 out of Lake Stevens, sponsored by Cobalt Cycles. Row behind them, Mackenzie Dietz, driving the BECU number 67 out of Monroe, and Bruce Beeler out of Tacoma, the Black Thunder Transport number 13.
The 676 is Ricky Dietz out of Arlington, sponsored by the Tire Pros, the Shop of Arlington. And he'll start next to the 36 machine. It's Bill Flyshacker piloting his own car, sponsored by Rev Up Energy. Now that 36 car at the tail end, one of the 2 super stocks in the field tonight. It was also the car that the Cowboy Carlson piloted all year in super stock competition because this Outlaw was over in the great state of Indiana.
And it was a feature winner back in Indiana as well. So congratulations to the Cowboy. Nice to see that car back home. 60 minutes on the clock. When we get to 60, they're going to give us the signal to throw the white flag. Mm-hmm. That clock will run, at least for the first 10 minutes of this, unless something extreme happens, right?
That sounds about right. So hopefully nothing extreme. We knock on wood, and time to get going. It is 5, and they're rolling right around the corner. They're bringing it as soon as they get back to the green, and no, we're going to go 1 to go. That's a terrible-looking restart.
Yeah, Ryan wasn't exactly up and side by side.
They did not come together. All right.
No, that was bad.
Well, we can rebuild the excitement.
All right. Well, we pace them. We bring them to a nice slow pace just like this as they roll through the corner and through the intersection at idle speed for one more time, coming around for the left-hand set of corners. It's Larson. It's Clark, the Big Ed Ritchie. 60 minutes of fear starts now. Green flag is out.
Yeah, Larson and Clark getting right up on it early with each other. Ryan Clark going to the inside of Zach Larson here. This is going to be a good battle to watch. This was your championship battle all year long between these two, and I was talking with them, before the race. Zach Larson talked with me, Caleb. This race is the one that has always gotten away. He said this is the race that he has not been able to put it together for the length of the race. And he's talking about this is the race he's chasing. He lost out on the championship to Ryan Clark. That's done and dusted. But if he can come away with this race tonight, then he can at least, carry that momentum into 2026 and feel a little bit better about it.
All right, so you got your timer up in the upper left corner here as they sequence out. Hey, Larson, what better way to win this thing than by leading every single lap of it? He's going to jump out to the early lead. Clark will chase him, and Curtis will sit in position 3 with the Cowboys sitting 4th, and those 4 have broken away from the pack, at least here in the early going.
Flyshacker had to check up for the intersection there. We're already starting to see the field pull away enough from each other that Dietz will do the same thing. The super stock cars, no surprise there that they're going to be the first ones to have to check up for the intersection. And one other factor we're kind of watching in this one, Caleb, is the tire game. These on the Hoosiers These are the slick ST tires, and no one really knows how they're going to last. They said that typically 140 laps is what they can get on these tires before they really start going all over the place. So if this runs long and we get up to those numbers, these drivers aren't really sure how these tires are going to hold up.
Yeah, traffic jam in the back of the pack as you're looking at it right now, and that was an excellent point. Your race leader just got his clock cleaned here in the early going. Haley Wilkinson and Zach Larson. And when the tire finishes further than the race car, you know it's ugly. Oh boy.
Well, the Cobalt Cycles machine of the 35 and the Cadillac himself, Zach Larson, are going to end the night early. Well, Zach told me it was the race that has gotten away from him, and this year he only lasted about 2 minutes.
Yeah, it done got away again. Let's take a look at it coming through the intersection here. Yep, it's Wilkinson with the front into the left rear, sending it askew and flying.
I think Haley Wilkinson side by side with Mackenzie Dietz there.
Yep.
Not really seeing her on board with Chris Curtis.
Yeah, you can see on Haley's point of view coming through that intersection, she was a little bit blinded by the car to her inside, and Zach shot the gap, and a lot of power out of the 35 at the same time, and figure eight racing, that's what'll happen. So Larson leads for 3 minutes. Now it's Ryan Clark going to party up front. Chris Curtis and Cowboy Carlson are stacked in behind him as the field down a couple of cars with 51 minutes here to go.
Yeah, Delaware-style restart, so Ryan Clark sole control of the front. And when I talked with Ryan before this race, he talked about, winning the championship this year meant so much. He won this race last year, so he's looking to join an elite class of drivers to go back-to-back in this race. It has happened before. Ricky Dietz in the field tonight, one of those drivers who has done it. He went back-to-back-to-back, previously 60-minute of Fear winner. So Ryan looking to join elite company, and he can do it. He also told me, Caleb, I was point racing all year long. I took it a little easy. I got out of the throttle. I checked up. Not tonight. He's going to gun it, and he's not afraid to play a little rough if it comes down to it.
Got all off-season to put her back together at this point in time, if you so need to. Although loading the car into the trailer is writing a multiple $1,000 check to yourself every time. Ricky Dietz into Dakota Wilkinson. Wilkinson into the infield. Dietz loses a bunch of spots, but we stay green for now. That's the key.
And we do stay green. That's a tough break there for Wilkinson. Dakota variation. Let's go on board with the 74, the Bulldog Haven Northwest machine of Chris Curtis. Now, this is another race that Chris Curtis is chasing down himself. Got Figure 8 Nationals wins under his belt, but this is one that has gotten away from him as well. So it's going to be interesting. The longtime racer here in the Figure 8 division at Super Speedway of the West, a multi-time champion. Can he get to Ryan Clark at this point, who's opened up a very sizable gap? A lot of race, obviously, over 50 minutes still to go. But can Chris claim his first 60 minutes of fear as he had to do some very evasive maneuvers to avoid Ricky Dietz in the intersection?
And drops a spot in the process as Carlson will get by Chris Curtis. I was going to say, Curtis has got the ability right now to just kind of chill and coast for a minute or three, right? I mean, we don't know what's going to happen with the tires. It's a very long race, so he doesn't have to go running down Ryan right now, and especially with, a sixth of the race down and 5/6 of it ready to go.
Yeah.
However, now he's going to get around Cowboy and run down Clark, and I'm not saying it's urgent, but it definitely ratchets up the urgency factor a little bit.
And the amount of rubber that is going to get laid down on this track, Caleb, I'm really interested to see, is there a tire conservation strategy you can have as you're playing? We talked about that. The late model drivers do it all the time.
Yep.
They know when to go, but with the intersection, meaning you can just get cleaned out at any point, like we saw there with Zach Larson and Haley Wilkinson, is there really anything worth to saving the tires?
It's hard to say. Like you said, you got about 140 laps or so here on the slicks where they've previously been on 970s, which offer a little bit better longevity. But tire performance over the course of that's going to be a thing as well. Let's take a second to think. Buzz Inn Steakhouse. They serve hand-cut Angus steaks, breakfast all day, and mouth-watering burgers. Visit one of their 11 locations. The Buzz Inn Steakhouse for a great deal and a great meal. Buzz Inn Steakhouse, your best choice.
Well, we've already seen a hot intersection sizzling like a Buzz Inn Steakhouse steak. And right now, it's we're only going to. Does it go up to 11, Caleb?
Or one of their delicious skillets that come out sizzling as well.
Now I'm hungry.
Breakfast all day is a legit thing, and the Buzz Inn Steakhouse, they do really good brekkie.
Well, they're open late to feed hungry race fans, and Might just have to go get one of those when we're done tonight.
If you head on over to the Monroe Buzz-In Steakhouse, tell them Caleb sent you and order the Bigfoot chicken fried steak. But get the breakfast, not the dinner.
All right.
Because breakfast is wonderful.
You heard it here, folks. Caleb Hart has
full endorse.
He's so well known at the Buzz-In Steakhouse here in Monroe that
oh no, nobody will know who the heck I am.
No,
that's fine.
Just say it for
yeah, no, it just makes me feel good.
Okay.
Maybe if enough people say Caleb sent them, maybe they'll give me a free chicken fried steak someday.
There you go.
That'd be
That's a good
great.
idea.
The best food is free food.
Well, we're on the back of the Dakota Wilkinson of the 9. We're aboard the Ricky Dietz machine in the 676. And the 9 right now, you can see the part of the car that he made contact with Ricky earlier. That's just looks like some sheet metal or something maybe off the back of that bar. Now protruding out, is that a Speed Racer style tire cutter? Like, can he use that to like whack a tire if you come out on that side? I don't think you could pass to that side of Dakota right now.
Yeah, you definitely have to be a little more careful as you're trying to go by because there's nothing protecting the front wheels on these cars at all. There's no fenders. They're unique in that regard as far as the Outlaw figure 8s go. So Dietz, when he chooses to make the move on Wilkinson, it's not going to be the deciding factor, but it will play into thoughts. Like if he's going to try to stick a nose into that corner, you saw it rumple up, and hopefully Dietz will keep that tire up at this point in time as, look out, intersection Harry, right in front of your battle for second and third. Love tap again. Chris Curtis really using the chrome horn on Cowboy. Cowboy swung wide, and Cowboy takes one in the side from Bruce Beeler.
Oh, man. The return of Cowboy Carlson running an Outlaw figure 8s is cut short with an intersection shot. The Bruce Beeler and the Black Thunder Transport 13 comes together, and let's take a look at this one side by side. Carlson was clearing Curtis here. Curtis pulled alongside, and Beeler just wrong place, wrong time, it appears.
Well, so again, Carlson makes this move, and you watch the car kind of dart to the outside here as he thinks he's got a shot, and I don't know if he had meant to angle further up into the intersection or not to avoid, but yeah, miscalculation on multiple points here.
Yeah, let's take a look from this angle one more time right there. Beeler, you can see he's gassing up for the intersection, tries to get on the brakes, it's just too late, and well, Caleb Hart, car parts for everyone.
Wow, yeah, new parts for everybody here, as we've already seen a couple of your major contenders. Your race-leading Zach Larson cleaned out. Second place running John Carlson out of the picture. Field's going to shrink, and we still have 36 minutes to go. Now, Ryan Clark up front. Chris Curtis back into second, and sitting in a really good spot. That's Nick Holt.
This is an all-NBQ front little 3 right now. They would love to finish up on the podium. Then you got Corbett and Dietz right behind them, and then Mackenzie Dietz running up with James Connolly in row number 4. I think that is technically with the Delaware style. And then Dakota, Flyshacker, and Doug Wilkinson as we are under green once again, and Chris Curtis quickly underneath Nick Holton. Gonna clear for second. Holton trying to defend from Ricky Dietz now. Side by side, the 676 and the 71 charging in side by side, coming around the north end. Holton pulls up a side, and Nick Holton's going up and over and trying to drive the car up into the 676. Caution flag is out. And Nick Holton, Monster Truck Weekend was a few weeks ago, and the 71 up on top of the 676.
These drivers have, been their own worst enemies here. As you sit there and you're watching Dietz trying to get himself unhooked from this. It's Holton into the corner, and there's the contact, and up and over he goes.
Yeah, that's just dry, and we talk about these cars just get to drive up on each other on board with Jamie Corbett, and you can watch Holton, and oh man, that is a big race car gaining a lot of air.
A whole lot of air. Here's from Dietz's point of view as he goes into the turn. Everything's fine, and then, wow.
Oh.
Hello, GoPro.
Is that GoPro shot of the year?
Yeah. Well, you get a nice look at the lower suspension there on the Dietz cars one more time into the turn. And yeah, I think if Nick had that corner to do over again, he probably would. Let's take a time out. We've got more of the 60 Minutes of Fear coming up next here on Home Track Heroes on Seattle 11. We are just about in the middle of the Big Ed Ritchie 60 Minutes of Fear featuring the Outlaw figure eights here on Home Track Heroes on Seattle 11. Our show brought to you by All Play Roofing. I'm Caleb Hart. He is Ben Iman. Our field is looking a little thinner at this point, Ben. We have had some big-time collisions in this one and wiped out some race cars.
Yeah, it's been aggressive. The drivers did not heed the warning. They decided that they were going to go for it right from the start, and ultimately, that has made us thin the field pretty quickly. Ryan Clark leads a Delaware-style restart from Chris Curtis and James Connolly in the 25.
Welcome back, James. First time here this year out of
El Presidente.
Viva Las Vegas. Green flag is out. You and I got to spend a lot of time with James at our Western Auto Racing Promoters Association
Yes, we did.
event last year.
We will have to do that again.
Good dude. Really good dude. Real passion for figure eight racing. Nice to see him running third right now.
Good run here. We're going to settle in. Here comes Doug Wilkinson in the 53, a winner of this event. Oh, this is a great shot.
Look at that. We have got the JD cam.
We've got Uke Vision.
Beautiful. As we got quite the battle going on. Conley slipping a spot or two as Jamie Corbett has now picked his way up in the top three.
And Doug Wilkinson follows him through the Waltz Woodco 53, and Wilkinson trying to stick with Corbett. That 767 looks real fast today. Corbett's trying to hang on here, but they've lost the back of the NBQ boys. We've lost Holton, we've lost Beeler, so we've whittled down the NBQ machines to just these two, and right now Ryan the Rocket showing how fast he is trying to get away from Chris Curtis.
Yeah, right now setting a really good pace. We're at the 35-minute mark in, 25 to go, and again, we're waiting to see. This is the first time that we have done this in a while on the slick. ST1, ST2, ST3. Not sure what compound these cars ended up on for this one.
I think they're all on ones.
Okay, so we've got that going as opposed to the 970. And again, we want to see how that tire lives, what it happens. Obviously, Curtis is... I don't think he's pushing super hard right now. I think he knows the situation he's in, but he did have to push hard earlier, and we'll see what kind of lifespan we got going for him right now as we watch Curtis in the 74, who is letting him go a little bit. He is 3-4 car lengths in behind Ryan Clark right now and kind of sizing things up. I don't know how long he'll let Ryan run unopposed out in front, but it's part of the strategy of this race.
Yeah, I definitely think, definitely we'll see how long he wants to let him run. Probably wants to reel him in here, I think, a little bit more than he's got currently. You want to run with the leader with enough space that if the intersection comes hot, you have enough room to take evasive maneuver, but you also don't want to let him get too far away in this race, because if we were to miraculously stay green through this whole thing, the leader would be able to just kind of roll away. This is a tough track to pass on, Caleb.
It is, especially for the amount of power that these cars have. And I'll tell you what, making that switch to this tire has really improved the racing over the course of the year. We've seen way more passing, way more movement than we have in years past. However, it's still a very short course for these drivers, and there's no way that most of them can use all of the power that these magnificent machines have available to them.
Yeah, so Doug Wilkinson having to feather the intersection there, and right now Chris Curtis, this is probably a good distance, I think, for Chris. Reeling in Ryan, he's got him they're in the straightaway together. Ryan's not turning the corner, maybe just a hair before Chris is, through the intersection right here. So this isn't a bad distance, I don't think, to settle in.
I would think if you're Chris, you want to be close enough that if Ryan does something silly and blows the corner, just loses concentration or loses the handle for a second, you can be there to try to jump and pressure him to be side by side through the intersection. I also think you want to be clipping off the same cars in the intersection at the same time. So if Ryan gets him, I think you want to see Chris ahead of that same car as they cross through.
Yeah, that's probably a good follow distance right now. One thing I loved also, I'd say, about these cars too, Caleb, is the uniqueness of a lot of the Outlaws. They are built differently, and there isn't really one style or one. You see a couple similar styles, but all these cars are unique. They have different properties, and right now looks like some family drama. Dakota trying to run down his dad, Doug, in the 9 and the 53.
Let's take a second and thank Monroe Grocery Outlet, your locally owned neighborhood grocery store. They offer name brand products, fresh produce, organics, wine, and more at 40 to 70% less than traditional grocery stores. See Terry and Linda at the Monroe Grocery Outlet. Monroe Grocery Outlet, you can go in, you can walk in, pick up brand name stuff, as opposed to these Outlaw figure eights where you can't walk into a store and buy anything. Hardly. A lot of it's fabricated, a lot of it's spec to the chassis that, you kind of have to build and fit yourself. with a couple of notable exceptions, but that's how unique these cars are. There isn't an Outlaw figure 8 store.
There's no Outlaw figure 8 store, and they only run at a handful of tracks across the country. Evergreen Speedway, a proud home, one of the few homes of these magnificent beasts of race cars in the Outlaw figure 8s. You know, Indianapolis, the Speedrome, you see the World Championship 3-hour race there every year in their series, and a few other spots around. These drivers have had a chance to go to Colorado and over into Idaho recently and run some, one-offs there, but for true points championships, there's only a handful of tracks, and Evergreen Speedway's got them.
Battle for third continues to go on. The black, red, orange, yellow 767 of Corbett. It's the left-hand side of your screen, as he's got Dakota Wilkinson's 9 and his dad Doug Wilkinson's 53 tucked right in behind, looking for a way around Jamie right now, as Corbett's sitting in that final podium spot, just cutting laps and making the car look good. It's been a good afternoon for Jamie.
It's been a really good run for Jamie Corbett. Just settle in, I think, if you're Jamie. You just want to keep these cars behind you and just run your race and stay clear of the intersection, and the drivers that have made their way out is Dakota Wilkinson is making a bid here. I think the only problem is I think Dakota's a lap down at this point, Caleb.
Okay. Well, we'll monitor that as the
fast car.
Yep. We'll monitor that as the thing updates. And you're right, Dakota not showing in the lead lap cars right now. So Jamie will let him in by with the Brandy Hood Promotions shot on the car and a very well pleased Joe Speed Shop sticker to go with it. Thank you, Brandy and Saxon and Ashley and the new baby, who I'm sure is good at putting stickers on as well.
And good to see Bill Fleischacker just kind of step out of the way. He knows, the super stock's a little bit of a different style. They get to run this race, but some it's like bringing a tiny violin to a knife fight, Caleb. It's just a little tough for them.
Right.
And, they're running kind of a separate race within this race.
The super stocks will have their moment in the sun.
Yes,
that's
they
coming
will.
up on next week's Home Track Heroes.
And I'm sure it's going to be a doozy. If it's anything like this, we're going to be in for a good show.
I hope so. Looking forward to a good way to finish season number 6 of Home Track Heroes.
That's right.
Season ender.
Well,
as we continue to watch battle up front now, Ryan Clark, he's wheeled his way all the way around to the back of the field. That's Doug Wilkinson, who currently sits in position number 4. So Clark saying, I want to lap the field if I can. It's going to be hard to lap Chris Curtis, but he is closing in up on the back and starting to push around Doug, who's got plenty of speed in that race car himself. And Curtis has gotten right up to the back of Ryan, waiting for opportunity to maybe sneak around him here in the 60 minutes.
And this is tough because, Doug Wilkinson, and especially in figure eight racing, Caleb, there's not really a blue flag. There's not really a, hey, move over for the fast car per se. I mean, there's kind of an unwritten rule about it in racers and, kind of, all right, you can run in front of me for a little while, but eventually then I'm going to step you out of the way if you don't step out of the way kind of thing. But you can see Ryan giving him a little bit more bumper that time around the North Pole. But, Doug is not under, he's running his own race trying to run down Jamie Corbett. He's not under any requirement to step out of the way.
No, in fact, especially when you're running 4th in a race like this and your third-place car is just a little ways ahead of him. He's still racing for position, so heck, at that point in time, if that was me sitting in 4th place and somebody showed me a blue flag, I'd probably show him one finger.
Yeah, Ryan Clark making an aggressive move, but he's opened the door once for Chris Curtis. He's opening it again. Curtis able to pull alongside him and now have the inside lane through the North Pole. The leader's stuck behind lap traffic. It might cost the Rocket the lead. Chris Curtis trying to tow him through. They'll run to the South Pole. Advantage to the 51 now. Ryan Clark is not able to shake Curtis. Curtis really sticking to the outside groove. Is it because of how much rubber has been played down? Now here's Bill Fleischacker getting into the middle of this. Curtis gets the muscle out, flexes the arm, and shoves him out of the way a little bit if he needs to. Chris Curtis making an aggressive pass on Ryan Clark. A little teammate on teammate crime.
And we've got a new race leader. As there to the front goes Chris Curtis, our third leader of this race, as he's taken about 3 passes now. Is this the year that Chris checks this one off the to-do list? He's got to find his way around Doug Wilkinson, too, as Wilkinson has definitely been a deterrent to those drivers in first and second. Nobody's been able to get around the 53 yet.
Yeah.
As Wilkinson continues to run a tough line to get by.
Yeah, this is the late race move. This is the, to put it into equivalent, this is making the pass with 10 to go, kind of 15 to go is here where, we're under 20 minutes. And with how the field has thinned out a little bit, Caleb, the intersection is, you've got a little bit more play with when to go, when not to go, pace yourself through the intersection.
Right.
Ryan Clark, Chris Curtis really leaning on the back of the 53, getting Doug Wilkinson loose. I was going to say Ryan Clark tried to move on Doug Wilkinson, wasn't able to do it, and will that cost him back-to-back 60-minute of fear wins, as now the lap car is sandwiched between the two of them.
I was going to say, I don't think you're going to see traffic like Doug Wilkinson again come up here with the speed that he has and such, although Corbett does loom ahead, and we'll see what Curtis can do, but Curtis is clear. Clark trying to get clear himself as Curtis is starting to get to the point where he might be able to sniff that 60 minutes win. There goes Clark on by, and now Clark's got to run him back down. Oh, Doug Wilkinson giving him a big old pump through the corner.
Wow.
That was thunk, and I think you see Doug kind of waving a hand in the air as he came by like a, my bad? I don't know. Not sure what he was saying.
Not sure.
It's either that or he's broke.
Yeah, I'm not sure what the signal was there, but it looked like Doug Wilkinson maybe got out of the gas just a little bit too, let Ryan Clark clear, and that's not a spot for position, and I don't think Doug wants to be in the middle of deciding the winner. I don't think either of these drivers want to say I won because Doug Wilkinson, that kind of thing, and I know Doug doesn't want that for either of these drivers as well. So
Doug's classy like that. He knows what his spot is here in that case, and I'm pretty sure that was a my bad signal that he was given to Ryan on the way back. So either way, they can discuss it in the pit area after, because we're 15 minutes from finishing this thing.
Yeah, this thing is really coming down to the wire, Caleb. And now look at this gap that Chris Curtis has opened to Ryan Clark. There's Curtis cross the line, and we're waiting, and there's Ryan Clark.
Wow.
Yeah. The Rocket's going to have to live up to his namesake if he wants to close to Chris Curtis in the dying minutes of this big epic, and you can see how aggressive Ryan is running. Look at the power, how quickly he's getting on the gas. That is one unhappy Mr. 51.
Yes, he is absolutely putting down some fast laps right now. There is no messing around for Ryan Clark. He has got to close this and get back to the bottom, taking no time to get by Corbett. So now only 2 cars on the lead lap, Chris Curtis and Ryan Clark, and Clark has a ton of ground to make up to get back close, and Curtis got tapped, and he hits the Uke tire. That's your leader.
And look at that front right, Caleb. That is not pointed in a direction that's drivable. The 74, Chris Curtis, that's a night ender. Wow.
It was so subtle, but it happened. Let's watch it again.
It's all it took. We're going to take a look at it. We talked about 2 drivers, Caleb, 2 longtime mainstays of this Outlaw division that have not won this race, have both had their night ended in the intersection. Zach Larson early, Chris Curtis late, and Curtis hopping out of the car. We're staying with it here.
He is spitting mad.
Yeah, there's a track official over there to talk with Chris, and slamming the helmet down.
It's an expensive helmet.
Well, pissed off. I understand. Curtis marching out of his car, some strong words with the NASCAR official, trying to calm him down there a little bit. And
I don't envy that official's job right now.
No, it's tough just being one of these officials that just tries to come in on a Saturday, do your job kind of thing. Chris trying to muscle past him a little bit, and now the Cascade Push Truck Association trying to calm him down. And whoever that official is, you are really such a strong man to take that fight. And I know Chris is going to be angry in the moment and look back at this later and be like, that was a tough moment. I probably didn't mean to be like that. And showing Doug Wilkinson he's number 1.
Well, let's see it again. Here comes Curtis in through the intersection.
Wow.
Boy, that's a glancing blow, if at all. I want more looks at that. Let's take a look. Here's Curtis coming through. Okay, you can see it. There was contact, and boy, it doesn't take much, does it?
Yeah, well, Chris Curtis is going to climb back into his race car and get it to, yeah, there's showing Doug Wilkinson who's number 1. Chris Curtis is saying it's me. Well, Caleb,
That's figure eight racing, and we've got more of it. We'll finish off the 60 Minutes of Fear next here on Home Track Heroes on Seattle 11. Final segment of the night here on Home Track Heroes on Seattle 11. He's Ben Iman. I'm Caleb Hart. Our show brought to you by All Ply Roofing. Ben, we started with 60 Minutes of Fear. We're down to like 9.
9 minutes of terror is left, of dread.
9 minutes of ooh,
yeah,
ah.
I think
Halloween's coming, right?
It is. It's right around the bend. All I got to say is,
Scary.
drivers, let's take a breath. Let's compose ourselves. We've almost done it. We've almost gotten there. We've thinned half the field. Thank goodness everyone has like all of the offseason to put these cars back together.
Let's do like 9 minutes of...
Or even
Is that okay?
Yeah, 30 seconds. Maybe do some calisthenics. I don't know.
Maybe not in the car.
No, in the car.
Deep breathing exercise.
Sure.
Though. Yeah. Green flag out. Race leader Ryan Clark as Clark. Hello, gift horse.
Yeah.
Yeah, kind of.
You know, Ryan will be the first to know, would be the first to admit, you know, after this race, you know, if he made a mistake. And I think he can watch this film back and be like, you know, I left the door open to Chris, and I let him get away from me, and, you know, the intersection bailed me out. And if he's able to hold on to this, you know, I'm not sure where Jamie Corbett is in all of this. He is in second, and Chris Curtis, for the moment, is still in third. Now it's Doug Wilkinson. I'm not sure where... And to mention, Dakota, I think, is still down a lap. I don't know if this is for position that they're racing right here. But I think Jamie Corbett's still on the lead lap. Caleb could get to Ryan Clark. I just think he's at the tail end of this train, and Ryan is nowhere in the same picture.
We had it was down to basically a 2-car race, and Corbett's lap down too, by the way.
Is he?
Yeah,
okay.
He did go down a lap to both Curtis and Clark. So Clark is the lone lead lap car, I believe. Unless we had a lucky dog rule, but I have no idea.
I have no idea either. So.
Yeah, so Ryan can just cruise here. And we saw it. Ryan got back on and was starting to cut some really good laps, but there is catching him's one thing, passing him again is a whole nother question. And as our buddy Derek Todoroff would say, well, that's figure eight racing, right? The intersection is a factor, and it's a factor all race long. No matter how much the field is thinned out, anything can happen, and it did.
That is, you know, that sums it up right there. That is the unknown factor of this race every time, is the intersection. No matter how good of a race you run, no matter how well you set up your car, it can be over like that.
Yep.
And then, you know, that was a tough break there for Chris Curtis, who, like you said, was minutes away from finally sealing off and claiming one of, you know, Derek Todoroff talked about, you know, to cement your legacy in figure eight racing, you got to win one of them all. You got to win the figure eight nationals, you got to win a title, and you got to win 60 Minutes of Fear. And that's the one that Curtis is missing. And, you know, Chris Curtis has done a lot, and I'm sure he would love to get that monkey off his back. Just a tough break to end the season for the 74 like that.
Now, with that being said, anything can still happen to Ryan Clark, and that's why it's important for Corbett to continue making the laps that he's making right now, because who knows? Clark explodes a tire here in the next minute, and all it takes is one extra pass from Jamie, and Corbett's now sitting in the top spot.
It wouldn't be the first time for Ryan Clark either, we'll say. I don't think we've quite approached that 140 lap count that the drivers were worried about. I think enough of the cautions and the red flags that have come out to ultimately for the intersection hits, I think have kept us away from that. But, you know...
And they've all been smart enough. They're not sitting there jacking the gas and the throttle, working their way around and abusing the tires under yellow flag conditions. So
and
they've all been smart with that regard.
For sure, but like Diesel Snyder earlier, you know...
Yep.
Sometimes the tire can just go, and so... just having to sit cautiously, and, you know, Ryan Clark I'm sure, is sitting under the wheel, kind of looking at the clock. The drivers can see the clock, you know, ticking down on them and going, oh, man, okay, all right, 5.5, all right, okay. Every time he's turning a lap, that's another one down, and just pacing this lead.
If they're too busy watching the clock, though, they're not watching the intersection and ahead of them, which, I mean, you look at it now, Corbett's in no danger. There's nobody coming, there's nobody going, but that changes quickly.
Like right there, you can see Ryan closing up in with the remaining Wilkinson cars running, and Clark just trying to set his pace and run his race and rolling through right there and just smooth sailing right now. There's no such thing as a Sunday drive in figure eight racing. Like sometimes we can see in some of the circle track divisions, if a driver gets far enough out, dying laps.
The late models, every once in a while, you'll get somebody who's built an advantage and they coast for a little bit. Coasting's the wrong word. They can serve for a little bit, right? They're not pushing it as hard. Yeah, they're still carrying speed through the corners and through as well, but they are not pushing the car to its maximum capacity. And I think that's what you're seeing out of Clark right now. He's not pushing. He's not stressing anything that doesn't need to be stressed. His pace is about the same. He's still crossing that intersection right on the back of the Wilkinsons, and that's comfortable for him right now. They also have spotters, so if at some point in time Jamie started picking it up, closed way up on him, they'd say, hey, that's second place trying to unlap himself. You could go a little bit.
Yeah.
You know, he's in a good spot. He's not safe, but he's in a good spot.
No, and he's not, like you just say, he's not in an information deficit either. Like, he's aware of the surroundings as he settles in. And, I mean, if, you know, for 4 minutes to hold on, for Ryan Clark, talk about a year for the driver of the 51, a championship belt, to go back-to-back in the 60 Minutes of Fear, and to be so young doing it, too. Under the age of 22, Ryan Clark is, the sky's the limit right now for the 51.
Well, as we watch him complete another lap, we're down to 3 minutes and 44 seconds left here in the first of our two 60 Minutes of Fear episodes that we have. Another one coming next week. And, of course, episodes of Home Track Heroes wouldn't be possible without All Ply Roofing. They serve the greater Puget Sound region from Bellingham to Tacoma, North Bend to Bremerton. All Ply has you covered. Call All Ply Roofing for a free estimate or visit them at allplyroofing.com. Your residential and commercial roofing team, that is All Ply Roofing.
Wilkinson on Wilkinson. Again, not for position, because I think they're on separate laps down.
Dakota trying to get by Doug.
I think he just wants to beat Dad. Or maybe this is for position. I don't know.
It could be at this point. We'll see.
Yeah, that is the tough thing even for us as we're tracking this race. I don't envy our scoring department or race control or anything.
Can you imagine how hard this was back in the day when they didn't have transponders?
You know what?
You are too young to this game to remember hand scoring, I would just say absolutely not on something like this. Every lap they had a little column. You'd print off a bunch of papers with a bunch of columns on them, and you would write down the running order as they came by the start-finish line. So every lap, and there goes Dakota trying to duck to the low side. Dakota Wilkinson nosing ahead. He has gotten by Doug. Doug shooting back to the inside, coming through the corner. I'll tell you more stories of scoring here in a second, but Dakota looks like he has secured the spot, at least for now. You would take your numbers, and sometimes you'd have somebody calling it out to you. So as Clark would come by here in a second, I'll do it exactly how they would do it.
Okay.
Your caller would go, lap coming in, 51, right as he crosses the line. And then you would wait for the next car to come by, whoever it is in the sequential running order, right? In this case, whoever it was that Ryan lapped less. 767, 53, 50, 13, 83G, right? Until it reset. Lap coming in, they move to the next column, 51, 767, 53. Then you'd have to go back through and count all the laps that guys didn't make in a race like this. So, okay, the 53 car didn't show up in lap 72, didn't show up in lap 54, didn't show up in lap 9. He's down 3 laps. And then from there, kind of build your sequence out of, okay, this guy made every lap, and here's how he finished on the last lap. That's his finishing position. Scoring after main events can take up to hours, sometimes, depending on the length of the race. And the complexity of it, how many cars went off. Guys, much less, guys going into the pits and coming back out. Holy cow, that was an adventure,
I
too.
submit to the AI overlord. That was...
Yeah.
Technology is a beautiful thing.
Yeah, give me transponders, give them every time.
Yeah, wow.
That was my first job in racing, was to help with scoring.
Yeah, I will say, you know what, props to anyone who did that, because that is a unique skill.
I would say it's not that long ago, but it's 24 years ago. Heck, our own Derek Hobbs has done it too. So, hand scoring is a legitimate thing, as we're down to 40 seconds left to go. Ryan Clark looking for a 60 Minutes of Fear win. Scored the right way with transponders, so we don't have to go through and do plus, minus, divide by 0, all that good stuff.
Yeah. Well, tonight, the intersection played the way of for a driver who has had, at times in his career, Caleb, little to no luck. And the Ram did not have to appear. The Rocket is the only driver we saw tonight. White flag is out, 1 to go for Ryan Clark.
Clark, the only one of the race leaders who didn't get intersection tonight, as it happened to Larson, it happened to Curtis. Ryan Clark avoids it and wins his second 60 Minutes of Fear. Clark, your victor. Jamie Corbett, second place. Nice run for him. And we believe Doug Wilkinson taking third. Very cool. Nice run for the veterans, as they did a great job here tonight, going 60 minutes of Outlaw Figure 8 racing.
And Ryan Clark brings it back around, excited, spins it into the infield, and gonna burn it down for us. Capping off an incredible 2025 for the young man. Ryan Clark carrying a lot of momentum into 26.
I think if you caught it online, Turn 1 Media had the 360 gyro cam on the top of the Clark car for this, and that's worth taking a look at if you want to see some of these highlights. As ladies and gentlemen, to the Angel Winds Casino Resort podium and our victors.
You did. Chaotic field there. Now, this is your father's, but I'm still going to ask you about that battle you two were having there in about the last 15 minutes of the race. What was that like, battling with your dad on the Outlaw track?
Oh, he's such a jerk to get by. I got to his inside a few times and he slammed the door. I almost dumped him a few times, but all in all, it's been fun to give some revenge for the times he's been behind me.
Do you have your dad's sponsor list?
I have my list, and that's way better. Hold on. I'd like to thank Tony V's Garage, Pilchuck Heating, Pacific Northwest Forerunner Connection, A West Coast Septic, Waltz Wood Company, Reppin Welding and Whale, PNC Landsmiths, Rift, DTMX Racing, and my mom and dad.
Well, driver the number 9, collecting for Doug Wilkinson, your third place finisher, the number 53, Doug Wilkinson. Jamie, I have lost count of how many times the name of your game has been consistency in these races. You run your race, you keep your line. Do you have any advice for other drivers who might want to get into the Outlaw division?
Just never give up. Go out there and run your line, run your race. You never know what's going to happen in the figure eights. It happens so fast, and if you give up, you won't be there for that spot. And that's how I got here tonight, is just playing it safe, trying to stay out of trouble, and here I am on the podium.
Chaos unfolded around you all night long in that division. I really got to ask, how does that affect you as a driver in the moment when something like that happens in the first 10 laps?
Well, first of all, I think, I hope everybody's all right. But then I was like, well, there's 2 more cars down. I'm good.
Well, you've been up here multiple times this season. Who's helped you do it?
Ryan Berg, A1 Auto Service Center. I love you, buddy. You've helped a lot of us out. I appreciate everything you do for the track. GN Northwest, Dan Miller, you're awesome, dude. Appreciate everything you do for me. And Brandy Hood Promotions, Bobby Black, Zach Larson, my brother Ricky Dietz, and most of all, most important to me and all of us racers out here, Paul Peterson. Paul Peterson's the man, dude. If you have him on your team, you're going to get trophies just like I do.
Driver the number 767, your second place finisher in the Outlaws, Jamie Corbett. Well, after one of the weirdest champagne showers I've ever seen, we put you on social media asking fans to come out to this one. You told me in the pits how much it would mean to get 2, and you did it. How's it feel?
It feels really good to get 2 in a row. I'm not going to lie, I got a little lucky tonight, made some mistakes off the start and then with lap traffic. But you know what, luck's a part of this game, and I feel very thankful and just happy to be getting 2 in a row.
Now, I mentioned up in the booth earlier that to really call yourself a figure 8 great, I'd say you have to have a national, a 60, and a championship. You're missing one of those. You think next year is the year to go chase that one?
I really hope so. It just depends on how the schedule comes out. Might as well announce it now. Next year we'll be doing the 50th anniversary of the 3-hour World Figure 8 Championship. But if it's early enough in the season, we'll definitely be out here for the Nationals and try and get the 3rd one to the crown jewel and finally get all the big races.
Now you got a team back there with you. I know they mean a lot to you. What is it like coming out here week after week with that team, running next to them on the Outlaw track?
Oh, it's amazing. This team is family, and you know what? It's me and my uncle got into it a little bit, and in the car I can say I was a little upset about the way it happened, but no, at the end of the day, this is all a family, and I cannot pick a better team to be with. I love all these guys so much. They are 100% my family. You know, family's not blood, but family's what you choose and make it to be, and they are 100% my family through and through.
Who would you like to thank for this entire championship and 16-minute winning season?
Oh, I got to thank so many amazing sponsors: Action Machine, Bulldog Cave in Northwest, Thermotech Powder Coating, JB Sandblasters, MBQ Motorsports, MBQ Chassis, and definitely Brandy Hood Promotions with all the in-car cameras this year. It's been a great year with the in-car cameras from her. And then, like I said, MBQ Motorsports and this team, my dad, Chris Curtis, Jason and Nick Holton, and team moms, my mom, Cena Curtis, and Connie Holton. Without these people, I don't get to do this, and they are the backbone to me racing. Can't thank them enough.
Driver the number 51, your 60 Minutes of Fear champion. Make some noise for Ryan Clark.
Well, Ben, I like the fact that Ryan started smiling at the end. You know?
Yeah, that's
I mean,
nice.
you just won the biggest race of your life for the second time. You may as well smile, right?
A little bit, yeah.
So, cool episode. Hornets and Outlaws, and lots of laps for them. A 50-lapper and a 60-minuter, and our final show of the year, the finale to Season 6, coming up next week on Home Track Heroes with Stingers going for 30 minutes, Super Stocks going for 60 minutes, and the World Championships of Bus Racing.
I can't wait.
It should be a blast. We want to thank all of you guys for tuning in. The final episode of Home Track Heroes for the year coming up next Sunday here on Seattle 11. Don't forget, it's October. Wear your pink. Breast cancer awareness. It's affected a whole bunch of people who have played a big part in the racing world, and we support them by wearing pink here in the month of October. For Ben Iman, DT on TV doing some of the interviews. Hobbs is putting together a great show, and Brandy Hood on the in-car. My name's Caleb Hart. We'll see you for the season finale next Sunday here on Home Track Heroes on Seattle 11.
Thanks for watching Evergreen Speedway's Home Track Heroes on Seattle 11. Join us next week for more great racing from Evergreen Speedway.